What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Saturday morning edition of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You can follow me on Twitter at Sports Talk Matt every single morning. We are here on BettingPros.com, on YouTube for the video, and as always, everywhere where you get your audio podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, everywhere. You can find the Daily Juice Podcast, Audible even as well, for your audio portion of the Daily Juice. This podcast being brought to you by BetMGM. The offer is always above me. $20 to win $100 on any event. Use that code JUICE100 at BetMGM on the BetMGM app or wherever you can register with BetMGM. Use that promo code JUICE100, $20 bet to win $100 in free wagers. If you did that last night on the parlay, you won $100. Unfortunately, we did not get the parlay right, and yeah, so it happens, right? We are now 5-16, still way up on the parlay. We wound up going 1-2 overall on the pod. I should have given you the Bucks -8. I played that myself, so it saved my night, but that was my bad, and I was debating it. I was debating doing a player prop or two, but I haven't been hitting on the player prop, so I just thought I'd cool it for the night and just ride with 3 and hopefully go 2-1, and instead I went 1-2. The under comes in. As I said last night, it felt like we were going to go with, the Bucks and the under, or you take the Hawks and the over. And the public, the second I saw 75% of the money come in on the Hawks, I went with the Bucks. And that was the deciding factor for me, because it just felt like it was a really hard game to call until I saw everyone on Atlanta, and I went, you know what? I would have been on Atlanta too, but yeah, it's the Bucks. It was either a Hawks outright win or a 25-point victory for the Milwaukee Bucks. I said that last night, and yeah, it turned out to be 25-plus point cover for the Milwaukee Bucks. So -8, I should have given that out. That's my bad on that. So instead, it's a 1-2 day and a losing night because I choked on that. So the under comes in because it was a complete blowout for Milwaukee. They rose up and played really well, defensively played well, and when you get blowouts like that, more often than not, the under is going to come in. Hockey, look, I'm going to bet 5s, and playoff wagering, this is one of the biggest lessons I have learned so far as we start year 2. One of the biggest lessons I'm going to learn, and it's probably not going to be all that popular with you guys, but as playoffs get later, the books are getting sharper and sharper and sharper, and it's more and more difficult to be on the right side consistently during the postseason. I got my clock cleaned in the NFL. I've been doing okay in the NBA, but not outstanding, better in the regular season. On player props, I am way down in the playoffs compared to where I was during the regular season. That's just not even close to the same. And in the NHL, I've been bad. Bad in the playoffs. And I was horrible. I've told the story before, but I was up 11 units during the regular season in the NFL, and I gave 9.5 units back. So here I am, like giving units back consistently in the playoffs. And, well, for year 2, I'm going to learn a lesson here. And, again, I've never bet every day for an entire year. And now I'm betting every day for another whole year. I've never done this before. So I have to recognize and learn my own lessons. And, frankly, playoff betting and me don't go together. So I've got to learn that, and I've got to be more – because normally I'm pretty selective. Normally in my personal betting days, when I wasn't betting every day, professionally for a job, I was, picking spots. And so I kind of thought like I was good at the playoffs. And in reality, I was just good at recognizing opportunities. Now I'm, okay, I need to bet this game because it's the postseason, and I need to be on this game and that game. And, I don't know if I'm going to bet the Stanley Cup. I'm going to be really honest. I don't know. I might, but I might not. So just a heads up. I don't know. I may bet 1 or 2 of the games. I don't think I'm going to bet. I'm going to look for a spot. I'm not just going to get in there. I've bet every playoff game, pretty much every night. I've bet at least 1 or 2 playoff games. And I've had a play on, the Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals, semifinals, whatever you want to call it. And, for the better part of 2 weeks, we've bet every night and not through great results. So that's probably how I'm going to play it here. Coming up in the Cup Finals, I may just bet a couple, 1 or 2 times. I don't think I'm coming in on every game. I'll probably watch game 1. I probably won't bet game 1. Just got to learn my lesson here. All right, so for today, it's Saturday. I've got 2 boxing bets for you guys. I've got 2 boxing bets. We're going to go a little bit off the beaten path. I have a golf bet, head-to-head third round for you coming up today. Interesting. And I have got 1 basketball bet for you guys coming up here today. All right, so let's start with boxing. All right, and this is going to be like, what the? Here's where we're going. It is on ESPN Plus. My favorite fighter is in action. Vasily Lomachenko is the magician. This dude's footwork is so incredible. This guy's hand speed is unbelievable, but he's coming off of a loss against Teofimo Lopez on ESPN, and it wasn't a good showing. Not a good showing. He is fighting a guy named Masayoshi Nakatani. I can't say his last name. Nakatani. Excuse me. Jeez. Nakatani. Can't spit out words tonight. That's who he's fighting. Okay, so this dude he's okay, but he's got a big reach advantage, okay? Big reach advantage, big height advantage. Nakatani is a guy who has 13 knockouts. He's longer by a ways, but he wants to fight on the inside, which is a little bit weird. I don't know if Lomo's got knockout power anymore at his age of 33. I can't really see it. It's really hard to figure out how to beat a guy like Lomachenko because his defense is so good. So many fighters have quit on the stool against this guy because they get so frustrated against him and they just get beat up. But I only have a couple different ways to bet this here in Vegas. You guys are going to have better opportunities to bet this. Look, Lomo to win on the cards, I love, but I can't bet this. The main card's going to start at 10 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN Plus. Okay, it's from the Virgin Hotel here in Las Vegas. I believe this fight goes over 10.5 rounds. Minus 130 over 10.5 rounds. I think this goes the distance, and I think Lomo wins on the cards. So if you can bet Lomachenko by decision, it's a better bet than what I can bet. I don't have that. I can either bet him to win, which is minus 1,400, no thank you, or I can bet the over, which is minus 130. So I'm a little bit limited here in Vegas when it comes to this fight, and this fight's here. So I'm a little bit annoyed by this. You guys are going to have a better option to get in and have this fight and to bet this fight. But I just think Nakatani is a guy who is going to try to go for a knockout early. I don't think he gets it. I think this is a huge moment because of the loss to Teofimo Lopez for Loma. He's got to look good, and I think he will look good. I just don't know if he can stop this guy. So I think him going the distance, all 12 rounds, 12-round fight, over 10.5 is the official play, but Lomachenko by decision, if you can grab it, take it, okay? You're going to get, it's probably going to be pretty juiced up, it might be minus 300, I don't know. I haven't seen the odds offshore, or I haven't seen the odds anywhere else, in other books. Just the books in Vegas have this. The total is 10.5, and the over is minus 130. Official play, Lomachenko over 10.5 rounds. ESPN Plus has this for the fight here in Las Vegas. I cannot wait to watch this fight. I'm really annoyed that I'm not there. I should be there covering it. It got filled up too fast. And I'm not a boxing guy, a boxing writer, or a boxing media member, so I got pushed out, so I couldn't get credentialed for this fight. I'm really bummed out about it because I've never seen Lomachenko fight in person, and there's only going to be a couple of opportunities left to go. But, you're going to see a monster size differential between these two guys, 6 inches of reach for Nakatani when it comes to how these two dudes will stand next to each other. It's remarkable to me, but we're going with the over 10.5 rounds for Lomachenko at minus 130 for a half a unit for the first play. Second play, let's talk about Tank Davis against Mario El Azteca Barrios. This fight's happening in Atlanta, Georgia. This is wild to me because, again, this is a guy in Tank Davis who's giving up monster height. He literally looks up at Mario Barrios. And Tank is another one of these fighters who has fought at 130, at 135. Now he's up to 140 here for this fight. It's on pay-per-view for Showtime, State Farm Arena. Start time's around 9 p.m. Eastern time. Most likely you're going to see like an 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock Eastern time start for this fight. Mario Barrios is not on the same level as Tank Davis, okay? That's just how it is. My problem is I don't think Tank Davis can knock this dude out. Again, it's very similar to Loma. I think you're seeing a better boxer, a better fighter, but the total for this fight is 8.5. Okay? 8.5 at minus 110. I'm taking the over. I think, again, this fight goes deep, and I think it goes to the cards. Again, if you can find Davis by decision, I think that's the bet. I really do. And I know Tank is going to want to knock this guy out and going to want to send a message because, he could go from 130, 135, and now 140. He gets these victories. You start talking about him as a multi-divisional champ here. But, how does a guy who has okay knockout power at 130 and then decent knockout power at 135, what's the knockout power at 140? We don't know. And Mario Barrios is a bigger dude in every facet. He's longer. He's taller. I just think he'll be able to take the punishment from Tank. I think Tank wins. There's no debate in my mind. He's a minus 450 favorite. I think he wins. But over 8.5 rounds, I think this fight goes all the way to the distance. But the official play is just going to be Tank Davis over against Mario Barrios over 8.5 rounds at minus 110. And I think there's going to be a huge opportunity here for a lot of fighters to have their number, to have their name be called out. And, this is an awesome weight class. There's so many good fighters who are sitting there, at I'm sorry, Gates, minus 130 for both fights. Sorry, I thought that was minus 110. I didn't want to check that. This is also minus 130 for me for over 8.5 rounds. So both fights are at minus 130 here, okay? So 2 boxing fights to tell you about. Lomachenko over 10.5 rounds, minus 130. Tank Davis over 8.5 rounds at minus 130. Half a unit on both these bets here for boxing coming up tonight. Again, if you can find Davis by decision on the cards, Lomachenko on a decision on the cards, I think both fighters go the distance. Both fighters win on cards. I don't think we're seeing knockouts on either guy. These are smaller fighters fighting taller guys. I just don't think the knockout power is going to be there. Maybe it's a stoppage. Okay, that's my one concern, is that like a body shot will stop these guys, but I don't think so. I don't think Lomachenko's got the power to stop Nakatani, and then I don't think the power translates for Tank Davis to this 140 weight class. I think Barrios will be able to take the punishment and survive at least until the 10th round. Or the 9th round, or in halfway through, I guess, the 9th round for us here with that. So those are our 2 boxing fights, over in both fights, over 10.5 and over 8.5 for a half a unit. Okay, let's go to golf, and let's go to a head-to-head for the 3rd round. Okay, so I'm very interested in Russell Henley right now. Okay, Russell Henley played really well at the U.S. Open. He fell apart in the final round because he had not been in that position before. It was very predictable to watch him fall apart in the 4th round. However, right now, this guy is sitting at 7 under par. He's tied for 4th. Bubba Watson is currently tied for 2nd. Bubba Watson has only hit 57% of his fairways so far here through 2 rounds. He's hit 72% of his greens in regulation so far through 2 rounds. 1.3 strokes gained via putting. Why is he picking up strokes with the flat stick? Because he's hitting 50-foot birdie putts. Okay, that's what Bubba Watson did. He hit a 50-foot birdie. That's a ridiculous streak. So he's only had, so far, in round 2, he had 1 bogey, and that's it. In round 1, he played better, where he had 78% driving accuracy, 88% greens in regulation. But round 2, not as good. He did have 5 birdies. He had 12 pars and 1 bogey on Friday. For Russell Henley, 85% driving accuracy in round 2, 83% greens in regulation, and he didn't putt all that well, but he didn't need to because he wasn't hitting bomb putts. He wasn't hitting really long putts. His longest make was 17-foot birdie putt that he hit in round 2. In round 1, he hit 280 yards off the tee, 78% driving accuracy, 66% of greens in regulation, and he picked up a half a stroke putting. I believe Russell Henley could win this tournament. I don't mind a sprinkle on this dude right now to see what he could do, but I got a head-to-head Russell Henley against Bubba Watson, minus 110, both sides. I'm going Henley, round 3 only, over Bubba Watson for a half a unit. And I'm going to take this Russell Henley dude and see what he can do on moving day in a head-to-head. He's gone 67, 66. Bubba Watson has gone 66, 66. I think he's due for a bit of a regression here, and you can't drive all over the place. This course is a little forgiving, more forgiving than what they had at Torrey Pines, but you're not going to, I don't think he's going to hit these bomb putts that he was doing, and I don't think he's going to be able to set up the same birdies. I mean, he broke his driver yesterday. He can replace it, obviously, for this round, but I think it's Henley over Watson for minus 110 for a half a unit here for golf. I'm going to get a little exotic on this one. Let's have some fun with this for a half a unit with Russell Henley over Bubba Watson. After Bubba had a tough time driving, tough time hitting the greens in regulation, Henley's been very steady, getting better, 66 to 83%, and a 67, 66. Let's see another 66, and let's get Henley over Watson for minus 110 in the third round of this. And again, if you want to sprinkle on a winner, Henley's on a bad selection. He's 20 to 1. 20 to 1 to win this thing. Don't mind Russell Henley to win this tournament at all. I'm going to sprinkle personally on Russell Henley to win this tournament at the Travelers in Connecticut. And finally, for the other half a unit that's hanging out there, the Phoenix Suns against the LA Clippers. Phoenix is it's a pick'em between Clippers and the Suns in Game 4. Here's where I think I am on this. This is just picking who's going to win this game. The Suns played really poorly in Game 3. I think the Suns are going to wake up. I think Chris Paul was rusty. I think Chris Paul comes back. I think DeAndre Ayton had to kind of figure out what to do against Zubac. I think he'll be better in Game 4. I think the mask and I think the nose will feel a lot better for Devin Booker. And I think he's getting annoyed by being guarded by Patrick Beverley, who has completely shut down great players. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, now Devin Booker, very difficult. But I think he's going to figure out how to get to the rim and get to the foul line. And I think he was afraid of contact right after the broken nose. I think he'll be more inclined to have contact coming up here in game number 4. And having Chris Paul back for a second game, I think this is the game that we see the distance. Again, I may be dead wrong. I was on the Suns in Game 3. I don't know. Maybe I'm just going down with this and just, I'm going to get burned crazy on this. But if I'm wrong, maybe the Clippers win this series. I have a bet on the Clippers to win this series. So maybe this is a hedge on myself here because the Suns go up 3-1. I think the series is pretty much over. If it's 2-2, it's anyone's ball game when it comes to this series. So I'm going with the Phoenix Suns in game number 4. Phoenix to win outright here. Pick 'em. Phoenix, let's see what happens in this game. Not get too crazy with the total and not get too crazy with the pace of play. It's just Chris Paul comes back, the rust is off, and he goes to work. And the Suns win game number 4 to go up 3-1. Okay? 4 plays for you guys, half a unit each on all 4 plays. We're going over for Lomachenko, 10.5 rounds, minus 130. Over for Davis, for Tank Davis, 8.5 rounds, minus 130. We're going Henley over Bubba Watson, minus 110 in a third round head-to-head at the Travelers. And Suns pick 'em against the Clippers here for game number 4. Phoenix just to win the game at minus 110. Those are the 4 plays for today. My name is Matt Perrault. Let's have some fun watching these games together, these fights together in the Discord channel. I can't wait. I don't like the UFC card. It's boring me. I'm all about boxing coming up here for Saturday night. Follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt. Every morning it's the Daily Juice podcast right here on BettingPros.com. Brought to you by BetMGM.